We all know that there's a million Kanto ROM hacks out there, from Radical Red to Omega Fire Red. There's about a million of them at this point. And most of them don't really interest me because Radical Red is technically the king of them all. Until I started reading some comments. That's where I found out that tons of you were recommending me a new ROM hack called Pokemon the New Kanto. It had a really interesting premise, where you, a Pokemon trainer that was already the champion, wakes up into an alternate dimension where Arceus was defeated by Giratina, and now he's in control, pulling the strings and changing the entire universe, which is supposed to add a ton of changes to the Kanto region that we know and love to give it a fresh new experience. Combine this with a ton of quality of life changes, like every single battle mechanic being in the game, plus having Pokemon up until Generation 9, and you have my attention. So join me on my adventure through Pokemon the New Kanto. Once we get through the intro with Professor Oak, I get thrown into Pallet Town. But there's quite a few unusual things going on. We're surrounded by what seems random Pokemon, and the lightning storm is engulfing us, which makes it feel like something incredibly bad is about to happen. As we step further, we run into the legendary birds, Sevii, and the creator of all, Arceus. He says that it was fate that we met on this day, as all of his power got fractured and stolen by Giratina, as it broke free, traveled through time, and is now trying to rewrite my entire story. So now Arceus needs me to retrieve its lost plate so it can regain its power, so it can stop Giratina before it reshapes the world. So I tell Arceus that I will help it restore the balance and then wake up in my room, thinking that all of this was just a dream. However, that dream felt so real that everything here starts to feel off, like there's something familiar yet quite unsettling. I guess the only way to find out is to get out of bed and start our Pokemon journey. I went over to my desk and picked up the Pokephone, a very handy device that lets you access your Pokemon PC, an item shop which is not unlocked yet, a function to relearn your Pokemon moves, a heal all function which will only work if you have a full restore in your bag, daily wishes which can be used to encounter a Dynamax Pokemon once a day, and a function to teleport to Pallet Town if you get into a sticky situation or run into any bugs. After this, I picked up a free experience share from my PC and headed downstairs to greet my mother. She's got a super useful gift for me, a Z-ring that allows me to use Z moves plus the crystals for the water, grass, and fire type moves. However, I still feel like there's something off because my mom mentioned that it's my birthday, which is not the case at all. To uncover more answers, I headed outside and got escorted to Professor Oak's lab. That's where we met with our rival Gory so that the both of us could get our starter Pokemon. The last time I can remember doing this, I went with Charmander. So to see if this was really an alternate timeline, I decided to go with Bulbasaur. I then defeated Gory's Charmander in a battle by spamming Tackle. After this, I noticed something else that was off outside. Two statues with some engravings on them. The moment I started reading, I felt like I was being watched. It stated,
"When the Blade of Kings is brought back to light, the sacred wolves shall rise to defend the fallen realm."
I left these statues behind and headed to round 1, where we heard screams of help. I immediately ran towards the commotion, where we see a vendor being attacked by two raging Spearows. At the moment, I don't think I can defeat these two with just my Bulbasaur, but that's when we see a blue flash coming in front of us, which turned out to be a Riolu who wanted to protect everybody around. So we let it join the team and took on the Spearows together. The vendor then thanks me for saving his life and hands over 10 rare candies as a reward. A very strange and brutal encounter that had me wondering why all of this was happening. So I pushed forward yet again to Viridian. That's when I notice a cold breeze, which makes me realize that everything might look the same, but it isn't. People pass by me with hollow smiles. Am I really the only one that notices this? Riolu then starts growling out of nowhere, and suddenly a large snarl breaks the silence, and from the shadows, a Pokemon with eyes glowing as red lunges at us, and Riolu steps in to protect me. In the meantime, the townspeople don't seem to notice anything. It's just me that can fight this. Upon closer inspection, we find out that it's the mythical Pokemon Zarude, and the only way Riolu was able to defeat this was by spamming counter to deal its own damage back at him double and then finishing it off with quick attack. To make sure I'm prepared for more encounters like this, I decided to give my Bulbasaur the Gracium Z. I then investigated the town further and found a new building called the Training Gym. That's where we meet Pokemon Trainer Leaf. She doesn't say much and only has a Pikachu that we defeat in battle by using Leech Seed, Balloon Doom, and Vine Whip. She then disappears into nothingness and I realize that I probably should go and get Professor Oak's package. Once I acquire it, I try to run back to the lab but get ambushed by bug catchers on round 1. Something that normally never happens, and when they're defeated, they vanish into nothingness as well. Then everything runs smoothly for a while. We deliver the package, get our Pokedex and Pokeballs, pick up the town map from Gory's sister. We then battle him again west to Viridian and overpower his Pidgey and Charmander with Bulbasaur's tackles and Leech Seeds. There was also an unusual cave on the way where we found a statue that made me feel uneasy, so I left straight away and went to Route 2. This normally brings you to Viridian Forest, which you need to traverse if you want to get to Pewter City. But this time there were cut trees blocking the entrance so we couldn't get through, which forced me to move around it through the east entrance. Here we could pick up the HM for Flash, and there was an incredibly nice rich man who gave away 10 Pokemon. The only ones that mattered though were the 3 Kanto starters, so now I had Bulbasaur, Squirtle, and Charmander in my arsenal. Further up the route there was another house. That's where we found an NPC that I like to call a Pokemon vendor. These are scattered around the entire region and will sell you a random selection of Pokemon, but each one you encounter will have different Pokemon in stock. I preferred to get my own Pokemon though, so I didn't really use them and instead entered Viridian Forest from the other side. Everything seemed normal at first glance, but when I got deeper and deeper, I suddenly noticed a strange black portal. Hesitantly, I get closer to it and find out that it's a rift in time. As I stepped closer and closer, a Mega Beedrill jumped out of it and didn't hesitate to attack me. Despite being incredibly strong, Mega Beedrill is also super frail. So with Charmander's Ember and Riolo's Quick Attack, we managed to defeat it. It then calmed down, turned back into a regular Beedrill, and decided to join my team. This is basically the game's way of letting you unlock Mega Evolutions, which I personally think is pretty cool. There actually turned out to be a second rift inside of Viridian that hosted a Mega Mawile, so once I defeated that with Squirtle's Hydro Vortex, we got our hands on a very strong early game team member. Unfortunately, none of these are capable of Mega Evolution yet, because the Mega Ring is not an item we currently own. And in order to get it as fast as possible, I headed over to Pewter City. I entered the Pokemon Center there and got some more free supplies from one of the professor's assistants. 5 rare candies and 5 revives. Very nice. We also found the move reminder, which gave my Mawile Iron Head and Play Rough, 2 attacks that it would easily carry throughout the rest of the game. After this, I headed over to Brock's gym, but he didn't seem to be around. I only seemed to find my old friend Brendan here, but he didn't recognize me at all and said that we had never met before. From there on out, he attacked me with his Pokemon in search to become stronger. Something else I noticed is that his entire team consisted of Dark-type Pokemon, but that's not really like Brendan at all. So I used Mawile's Play Rough to take care of his Zora, Pawniard, and Murkrow. He then leaves me by saying,
I hope you've let go of whatever ghost you're chasing, because I'm not who you think I am.
And in his rush, he leaves behind one of Arceus' pieces, the Iron Plate. I then learned from the gym trainers that Brock has gone into Viridian Forest to investigate the weird anomalies happening there. So I tracked back and managed to find him at one of the checkpoints. After talking to him, he says that there is indeed something up with the region. There's Pokemon here that have never been seen before in Kanto, and now he wants to see if I'm connected to any of this. So we head back to the gym for our battle. He has a team of 4, starting out with Geodude that gets destroyed by my Squirtle's Bubbles. The fossil Pokemon Kabuto is up next, and with Bulbasaur's Vine Whips, it becomes an easy target. I then bring down his Onix to 1 HP with another Vine Whip and swap out into Squirtle to take a Rock Tomb and bubble it to death. The last team member he has is Rhyhorn, so I bring in Mawile and use Iron Head to knock it down and earn myself the Boulder Badge. We don't really talk to Brock anymore about the incident and instead try to head over to the next route. That's where I got ambushed by a Mega Aerodactyl that attacked me out of nowhere, so I threw out Squirtle and used the Z-move Hydro Vortex to try and blast it away, but it wasn't enough. This prehistoric dragon was too strong, so I swapped out into Mawile and finished it off with another Iron Head. It then turned back into its regular form and fell to the ground. However, just when I thought I was safe, it woke back up, grabbed me with its claws, and flew me away to an unknown place. In the process, I went unconscious, and when I eventually woke up, I noticed I was laying down in a forest. Here it felt like time stood still. Nobody around around except for wild Pokemon, not even a breeze of wind that I could hear. After a couple of minutes of searching around, I couldn't really find anything besides a Farfetch'd that nearly wiped my entire team. Once I ran away from it, the Aerodactyl swooped down again, picked me up, and brought me back to Pewter. I didn't really understand what the Aerodactyl was trying to do, but I know it must have been important. So I carried on to find more answers. Shortly after, I arrived in the Pokemon Center at Mount Moon and found Leaf again. That's when I found out that from now on, she will be available in nearly every Pokemon Center and won't actually be a rival. Instead, she'll be a companion you can take with you. When she's in your party, she can do tons of useful stuff like healing your Pokemon, summoning wild Pokemon, and even charge your Dynamax band. Speaking of Dynamax, on nearly every route, there's going to be a cave like this one where you can fight and defeat Gigantamax Pokemon for amazing loot like ability pills and rare candies. Once you defeat these large Pokemon, you'll also be able to take them with you, and that's exactly what I did with this bearded Kingler. Leaf and I then entered Mount Moon together, where a weird fog engulfed the entire area. This didn't feel like Mount Moon at all. In the distance, we hear wild Pokemon rumbling, and one of them jumps out of the fog while Mawile tries to protect me. This time, it was a Seviper. Upon its defeat, we then got attacked by Rocker Randall, who would have a Rockruff, Beedrill, and Rocking Pikachu. All three of these Pokemon were defeated in an instant. This prompted my Squirtle and Bulbasaur to evolve in Wartortle and Ivysaur, and the trainer then stumbles back in disbelief and says that it was really me who turned back time. I then tell him that I did this because I don't want this world to die, to which he answers that I already know the cost of something like this. I say nothing, and the trainer then disappears into the fog. He then leaves behind the fist plate and a Dexnav for me to pick up. I then exit this weird place and enter Mount Moon again just to see that everything is back to normal. So I pick up my Helix fossil to get some help from God at the end and leave this place to reach Cerulean City. That's where Brendan walks up to us and says that we're too late to save this world. And without saying anything else, he attacks me yet again. This time leading off with a Mega Beedrill that can't really touch my paralyzed Mawile as it kept on spamming Pursuit. In the end, two Iron Heads managed to overpower it. His next Pokemon was the Leviathan Gyarados, who took down my Wartortle with a Thrash. So I swapped into Beedrill and poisoned it with a Twin Needle, and then cured my Mawile from its paralysis to end it and his final Pokemon Impidim's life with Play Roughs. He then says that he'll be waiting in the shadows because the truth awaits, and light and dark are just choices, and he's fought to choose the one he believes in. Another cryptic message that left me wondering what all of this was about. I knew I would find answers with Misty in Cerulean City Gym, but when I arrived, I saw that Misty was gone and replaced with Phoebe, one of the Elite Four members in Hoenn. She also acted exactly like Misty, which I found incredibly weird, but we didn't really have a choice but to take her on. So I started off with Ivysaur's Razor Leaf and hit two of them to bring down her Frillish and Chinchou's health. After this, we got confused with a Water Pulse, and that's how they managed to take down my Ivysaur, Charmander, and Kingler. Eventually, my Mawile and Wartortle were up against those two, and with another Bite and Play Rough, they would both bite the dust. She'd then bring out her final two Pokemon, Ducklet and Gyarados. They tried to lower my Mawile's attack with Intimidate, but my Hyper Cutter cancelled it out. They then tried to do that again by Mega Evolving Gyarados, which worked in my favor because Mawile can now hit it with super effective Play Roughs. From there on out, a Thrash would take down my Wartortle, but one more Play Rough would leave Phoebe with just Ducklet, which couldn't do anything anymore, and so this gym battle was ours to win. With this Cascade badge that didn't feel quite right in hand, we'd move over to Nugget Bridge to battle our rival Gory. From all the people we've met, he seems the most normal, which was proven yet again by my Ivysaur and Charmander, as they managed to wipe his entire team with Inferno Overdrives and Razor Leaves that his Abra, Pidgeotto, Charmander, and Rattata could not withstand. This prompted my own Charmander to evolve into Charmeleon, who was able to pave the way from trainers so we could get to Bill's house. Like usual, we turn him back into a human, get our SS ticket, and our next destination was supposed to be the docks in Vermilion. But this path was blocked off by cut trees, and we don't have the HM for them yet, so we were forced to loop around through Route 9. This led me and Leaf to Rock Tunnel, and as I tried to light up the entire place with Flash, it somehow got swallowed by something which left everything dark. Then Brendan's voice starts to haunt me that it's already too late to save the world, which means he saw something I haven't yet, or maybe I can't remember anymore, and didn't did this something break him inside, or is he really a totally different person? With all of this in my head, I kept on walking through the tunnel, where I could feel Giratina gazing upon me from the skies, which made me realize that this world isn't changing now, it's unraveling from the inside. And just in that moment, something small but alive started glowing in front of me. It turned out to be a small Pikachu, but there was something terribly wrong about it. Its eyes glowed white and empty, and as it let out a sharp static cry, we got attacked by the creature that was wearing one of my friend's hats. Ash. It seemed stronger than any regular Pikachu, but still couldn't overpower my Ivysaur as I used Bloom Doom and Razor Leaf to knock it out, which returned me to reality. From here on out, me and Leaf trekked through Rock Tunnel and reached Lavender Town, which is where I found a name raider, so I started naming every single Pokemon after the wonderful supporting members of the channel. They get named after Pokemon in every single video, so if that is something that interests you as well and you want to support me, you can click the link in the description or the join button to get some nice other perks with it as well. If not, smashing subscribe also helps out a ton too. With that out of the way, let's move on to the next section, where I got defeated by a Gigantamax Charizard inside of a raid den, which made me realize my team was lacking some power. And if that wasn't enough to show me how weak I really was, what about the Steam Rocket Grunt that was guarding the Pokemon Tower as they were doing some shady shenanigans in there? He had a team of level 50 Pokemon, starting off with a Togekiss and Excadrill that totally wiped my side. So for this one time only, I couldn't play Superman and had to let the thieves be thieves. So I started to investigate further and found a new section to Lavender Town that was never here before. And what was even stranger is that there was a gym now. Lavender Town never had a gym, at least not in the Kanto we knew. And just when I was about to check it out, we got stopped by Brendan. For whatever reason, he seemed angry and said that I was just chasing ghosts and that I was never the chosen one. Just lucky. And I realized that whatever is driving him now isn't rivalry anymore. It's something far more broken. From there on out, another battle commences. He had the same team as last time: Beedrill, Mega Gyarados, and Impidimp. This made him predictable and easy to dismantle as my Charmeleon dealt with Beedrill and Mawile chomped on the other two team members. Upon his defeat, he turned his back and said,
Hurry up before it takes you too,
and walked off into the shadows. I took his advice and checked out this new gym immediately, getting 30 free rare candies, and also finding out that it was not a regular gym at all. It was a Mega Evolution gym, and if we were able to defeat it, we would get access to the Mega Ring. So I evolved my Ivysaur into its final form, Venusaur, and challenged the suspicious leader, Roxanne, who kept on insisting that she was a Kanto gal born and raised. And I know for a fact that's not true. She definitely got that Hoenn vibe. So I had to shut her lying ass down by Bloom Dooming her Runerigus with my Venusaur and breaking her Mimikyu's disguise with my Charmeleon's Flame Burst. This prompted her to send out Cursula, to which I answered by trying to put it to sleep with Venusaur. That didn't end up working, as it avoided the attack and took down my Charmeleon with Ancient Power after I hit a Flame Burst on Mimikyu. So I send out Kingler, use Petal Dance to deal with Mimikyu, and hit a Metal Claw on Cursula before getting taken out by Hex. She'd then bring out the last Pokemon in her arsenal, Sudowoodo. I'm not gonna lie, for a Mega Gym, this doesn't feel mega at all, and the Sudowoodo also feels incredibly random, but with another Petal Dance and a couple more bites from Wartortle, these two threats got wiped off the map, and we got access to our Mega Ring. So now my Mawile can unlock its full potential. Confused by Roxanne, I then left the gym and went to Celadon City. On the way there, I found out that Saffron was fully blocked off by Team Rocket members, which meant we would still not be able to reach Vermilion if we wanted to get cut. Once in Celadon City, I noticed that everything was different. Every single building had a different structure and was now pink. So I started to investigate by picking up some free tea from the old lady, and also found out that there's a new section next to the Celadon City department store where they sell nearly every useful competitive item. So I picked up some life orbs, Ossault vests, choice bands, anything I may need to take down Giratina. The cut tree that was normally in front of Erika's gym was also removed, which allowed me to reach it, but yet again we get ambushed by Brendan, who said that we weren't supposed to find this place, and now we have to face the consequences. And he also seems to have turned this into a shadow duel, because now if one of my Pokemon ends up fainting, it's actually dead. So in true Yu-Gi-Oh style, I believed in the heart of the cards and used my Mega Mawile's new power to one-shot his High Dragon, 2-hit Bisharp with Play Rough as well, Then I iron-headed his Crobat, and in the end, not even his Mega Absol could take me down, as one more play rough did the trick. Brendan then says that it doesn't matter anymore because we all lose in the end, and then vanishes into nothingness. He's getting more and more dangerous every time we meet him, so I hope nothing bad happens to us the next time we run into him. I then tried to go and take on Erika's gym, but inside we got stopped by more cut trees, which opted me to go with a different route, taking down Team Rocket's Empire underneath the game corner. I bulldozed through all of their grunts easily, which gave me the power of the most popular Pokemon in the world, Charizard, plus the less popular Blastoise. With these two, I was standing in front of their boss Giovanni before I knew it. He didn't seem any different than usual, and clearly wasn't happy that we were once again taking him down. As the battle commences, we saw that his Pokemon were incredibly weak because we managed to one-shot his Rhyhorn and Onix with both my Charizard and Blastoise. Then he should normally bring out a Kangaskhan, but instead, it's a Pikachu, which also gets defeated by a single Flame Burst. From there on out, he promises to leave Saffron City open for me by taking away the guarding grunts, plus we get the Sylph Scope so we can get into Pokemon Tower 2. I then headed out, gave the tea to the guard, and tried to enter Saffron. That's where the silence broke like glass. A void split open before me. Darkness bled from the sky, and from it, Giratina emerged. He says that we're walking a broken path because the truth is that he's already won. The balance was broken long ago. So he asks, why do we fight what's already reality? In the end, it doesn't matter because the world only bends to his will. My knees then got weak and I realized that the one that came in my dreams was no god at all. It was just a clone that knew the world was already conquered. And yet, after all of this, my goal never changed. If Arceus was alive somewhere, I would find every last plate and return the balance to the world myself, like Avatar Aang, even if I have to defy fate standing alone. Giratina then vanishes and we're back in Saffron City where everything looks different. It's like this place got turned back in time as well, with walls covering the city and everything looking incredibly medieval. I knew this wasn't my destination yet, however, so I traveled to Vermilion City to finally get that cut HM. Upon arriving there, I realized that I can't find it alone. No human could ever defeat Giratina by himself. But Giratina is somehow afraid of me because I have belief, strength, and a bond with my Pokemon. So I realized that I need to find other legendaries to fight against it if we ever want to have a chance. And in that moment, we hear an emergency announcement that goes throughout the entire region, stating that legendary Pokemon from different parts of the world have all migrated here and are migrating this place. So now when I check my map, we can capture Dialga, Palkia, Groudon, Rayquaza, Kyogre, and the Swords of Justice that nobody has ever cared about. Seeing this phenomenon made me realize that the world isn't broken at all. Every Pokemon is being drawn into Giratina's reality, so I'll find the ones I need and shape the future for myself. And that's when I bring out the old way of capturing roaming Pokemon, going from city to route to check if the Pokemon has arrived on my desired destination by opening the town map, and if that isn't the case, I just repeat the process. However, I realized that I didn't really have anything to trap these Pokemon and they would keep fleeing from me. So I roamed around the city to find a way to prevent this from happening, and found some pretty interesting things like the shiny charm laying on a random table, a free old rod, and the rainbow and silver wing once I entered the SS Anne. Besides that, there wasn't really anything different on the boat, so I went and grabbed my HM for cut and realized that Diglett Cave would host what I needed to find, trap, and capture my legendaries, a Diglett with Arena Trap. Once I captured it, I also realized something different about this cave. It was filled with trainers, but if you battled them and they would defeat one of your Pokemon, it would be dead forever. However, if you managed to defeat them in the battle, you'd get some great rewards like rare candies. So I guess this is kind of like the Shadow Realm of this place. So I stacked up on some loot and stepped out to capture some legendaries. I evolved my Diglett into Dugtrio and started searching around. In this process, I found my very first shiny Pokemon, Bellsprout, that despite being gold and beautiful, got put in the box and never ended up being used. Shortly after this, I would run into the land god Groudon, who managed to escape all of my balls and killed my Dugtrio, which allowed it to flee. However, for now, he wasn't the one I was after. Instead, I wanted the deity of space and time, Dialga and Palkia, who were Arceus' most loyal companions and previously crucial in taking down Giratina. So I convinced both of them to join my fight, and once they were part of the team, I went to the local gym, searched through some trash, and found out that Lieutenant Surge had just retired and was replaced by Watson from the Hoenn region, and he's getting ready to zap me. Little did he know that I had legendaries by my side now. But I didn't want to show him all my cards from the start. So I led off with Mega Mawile and Duck Trio and immediately finished off his Alolan Electrode while Electros was still standing. The turn after this, he would bring out a Chinchou that would get one-shotted by a Play Rough too. But his Electros would also finish off my Duck Trio, and that's when I sent in Palkia. He also decided to bring out his ace Mega Manectric, but it was to no avail. Because with a Play Rough and 2 more Earth powers, both of his Pokemon got defeated, and we had gained access to the Thunder Badge. After this, I backtracked all the way to Celadon City, where I cut down Erica's annoying little trees and set her entire gym on fire with Charizard's Flame Burst. No, literally, they had to shut down because it was that much of a massacre. I'm talking one-shotting her Gloom, Sceptile, and Victory Bell, and then scorching away her Dynamax Vileplume, which gained me my Rainbow Badge, and in that moment, I ran out of there without looking back. With Pokemon Tower finally being freed up too, that was my next destination. Here we normally meet Gory, but instead it's Brendan, who's accusing me of killing Gory's Rattata. I'm not going to let him get in my head, however, and it seemed like his team got a big downgrade since last time we saw him, as he was back to working with his Pawniard, Murkrow, and Impidimp. So I killed all of them with ease, and he seemed to be surprised that I had legendaries on my side now. He then says that
This town whispers to the lost, but he's not here to talk. He's here to end this.
He then leaves the Pokemon Tower, and we go all the way upstairs to save Mr. Fuji from Team Rocket's antics. As a reward, we intend to get the Poke Flute, and then it was time for the events at Silph Co, which despite Saffron City being turned back in time, was still standing. In there, we picked up the keycard, headed upstairs, and battled Gory. This is where I realized that literally every battle background is the same as the one we used in the lab, which felt quite lazy and took away from the immersion a bit. This didn't take away from the fact that I still wanted to take down Gory as fast as possible so we could save the world, and that's when Dialga buried his first Pokemon Pidgeot under a shower of Power Gems. Charizard would then cook his Execute for breakfast and eat it like a good egg. Mega Mawile used Play Rough to one-shot his Gyarados. Palkia dimmed the fire on his Charizard tail with Power Gem, and finally, 2 more Dragon Claws ended his Alakazam. We then traveled further to the top of Silph Co, where we faced the leader of Team Rocket, Giovanni, yet again, but he really doesn't seem to have anything to do with the world changing at all, because all the events here play out as usual, with him trying to steal the Master Ball. And after he tells me to keep my nose out of grown-up matters, I put him in his place by taking down his Nidorino with Venusaur's Double Edges, blasting away his Kangaskhan and Rhyhorn with Dialga's Aura Spheres, and ending the battle by making his Nidoqueen sink into the earth with Dialga's immense power. I claim my free Master Ball from the Director, leave Silph Co, and go straight for the next badge, which is here in town, by challenging the local Psychic-type leader, Sabrina. She would now lead off with her previous ace Pokemon Alakazam, which we one-shot with a Sucker Punch from Mawile. I wish it was different from there on out, but it really only became easier. With Sucker Punch, Play Rough, and Iron Head, we could wipe her Hypno, Gardevoir, Espeon, and Mr. Mime off of the face of the earth and claim the Marsh badge as ours. Then I'd go and pick up the extremely useful HM for Fly, use my Pokeflute to wake up a sleeping roadblock, saw a man get stuck on a tree, and continued onwards to Fuchsia City. My first step inside, I immediately felt like something had changed. It was almost like the world exhaled, but I still knew that this was not the Kanto I once grew up in. Everything was different due to Giratina. All the gym battles I fought for fun the first time I came through here, every piece of grass, it just wasn't the same. But maybe that's the point. This journey isn't a second chance. It's a reckoning, a new beginning. Because of it, we were able to meet so many new people and Pokemon we otherwise never would have met, which makes it feel like this world is alive in new ways, which isn't wrong, but just different. And so my fear starts to turn into curiosity, excitement, and the feeling like I'm growing together with this world. With this realization, I wanted to explore more, so I went over to the Safari Zone where there wasn't all that many different things, so I just picked up my HM for Surf and left. A move that wasn't only useful to traverse the seas of Kanto, but would also give my Palkia a useful water-type attack to defeat my foes. I'd also delivered the gold teeth to the Warden to get my HM for Strength, and as everything started to look up, I went to challenge the local gym. I was happy to see Koga's familiar face here, even though he didn't recognize me. But in a matter of minutes, our battle would still commence. Mawile delivered the first hit by taking down Crobat with 2 Iron Heads. He would then send in a Dynamax Salazzle. I knew this was easily going to take down my Mawile, so I brought in my Palkia, tanked the Maxus, and defeated it with Earth Power. His next team member Weezing would then survive a Spatial Rend and explode on my ass. But Palkia hung on with just just 1 HP remaining. I knew we were not going to be able to take down his Toxicroak, so I brought in Charizard, which allowed him to get off a Nasty Plot. I used Fly, and this allowed him to get another Nasty Plot off. Things were now getting scary, because my Fly wasn't able to kill it, and we got taken out by a single Sludge Bomb. But I knew it was never going to be able to hit my Mawile with a Sludge Bomb since we're immune, and I ended up being right with it starting to spam Sucker Punch. From there on out, we needed one more Iron Head to finish it off, which left him with just Drapion. This cool looking Scorpion could also only hit me with Crunches, and Mawile was so strong that it tanked 2 of those, leaving me with 3 HP remaining, and countering back with Iron Heads, which proved my worth to claim the Soul Badge. Now that we can use Surf, I decided to go on the water with Leaf and have a little romantic moment, which got interrupted after we saw smoke coming from Cinnabar Island. This just turned out to be Blaine's gym. However, somehow it was closed. We couldn't really enter it, so I went into the Pokemon Mansion instead. But there were a couple of weird things going on here. First, I ended up getting ambushed by the Hoenn gym leader Brawly, whose entire team got defeated by my Dialga's Earth Powers and Mawile's Play Roughs. Then further down in the basement, Elite 4 member Sydney would demand a battle as well. And this battle wasn't any different, as we Play Roughed every single one of his dark types since they were all weak to it, making this another easy Mawile sweep. I then pick up the secret key from the table at the end and enter Blaine's gym as we finally accept that this is the world we're going to be living in. And I'm ready to conquer it, so let's defeat Blaine. Here, despite being 10 levels below his team, my Palkia washed away nearly everything. I'm talking Rapidash and Arcanine, then using my Dynamax on his Magmar, and setting up the rain with Hydro Vortex to one-shot it and his next Pokemon Ninetales. From there on out, he would send in Magmortar, who would be able to survive all of my hits due to its setup of Sunny Day. And just as my Palkia was about to go down, I decide to swap in Charizard, who takes a Lava Plume way less good than I would have expected. So with another one, my Dragon goes down. And if fighting fire with fire doesn't work, I guess I just have to bring in Mawile and deliver the final hit with Sucker Punch. I then claimed my Volcano Badge from the Bald Man, headed outside, and took Bill up on his offer to take me to the Sevii Islands. To be honest, the only reason I really went here is to see if there was anything different. First up, I started exploring one island, and yes indeed, we saw one of those weird portals again. That's where we defeated and unlocked Mega Steelix. On top of Mount Ember, I found a Magma and Lightstone, but never found out how to use them. I also helped out a chicken that was on fire by extinguishing it, and this wisdom-filled chicken then told me to complete the quests on the other islands. So I went to the game corner to find out that the little girl was missing. This led me to defeating an entire biker gang with my bare fists, just like Mikey from Tokyo Revengers. I nearly got abducted by an alien spaceship, then saved the missing girl from a sus hypno who went behind bars for many years. Then I brought her back to her father, and boom, Bill brings us back to the Kanto mainland. When I stepped back on dry land, I knew my faith laid in the Viridian City gym where we'd have to face our old friend Giovanni. He might not be the same man we once knew, but so much has changed since I entered this new world. I faced gods, ghosts, old friends twisted by fate, and now I'm ready to finish it. Whatever truth stands in front of me, let's face it together and defeat Giovanni, so we can move to the final challenge, the Elite Four and Champion. So first up is my Venusaur against this Aerodactyl. After spamming Giga Drain and wasting some of his full restores, we come out on top here. Then I'd swap in my Palkia to clear away his Nidoqueen with a Surf, plus tanking a Dragon Rush from his newly acquired Dragonite after then also taking it down with Spatial Rend. We took way too much damage though from that Dragon Rush, so I swap out when his Ductrio comes out and let Venusaur do the talking as it spams Giga Drain to take it and his final Pokemon Nidoking down. We got ourselves the Earth Badge and Giovanni wishes me luck in the Elite Four. But do you remember the cave at the start of our journey with the weird statue in it? Yeah, I was very intrigued to see what would happen with it, so I entered it again and found out that it was just a random Spiritomb encounter. For something that mysterious, I was expecting a little bit more, but hey, let's instead move on to the rival battle with Gory, one of the last challenges we need to face before Indigo Plateau. Here in the place where we had our second ever battle, we'd show him once again why we're superior, by showing off my Dialga's power as it one-shot shots. It's Pidgeot, Execute, and Rhyhorn. Alakazam took 2, but we weren't done there. I then swapped out into Mawile and used Play Rough to finish off his Charizard and Gyarados, which won me the fight. With this out of the way, I had my sights set on just one more thing: getting through Victory Road. After completing the first strength puzzle, another fight with Brendan occurred, but here it seems to just be a bug, because he has the same team and dialogue from back when we faced him at Erica's gym. Even his Pokemon are all level 30. Once defeated, he yet again disappears, and the rift behind him is just the Beedrill that we already picked up at the start. I'm guessing this was not intended to be in the game, so I just left all of it alone after this and traveled to the stairs just before Indigo Plateau. But I couldn't just enter the league, because Brendan was really here to stop me this time. Only this time, something broke. His form started flickering and glitching, and data fragments started trailing from his feet. He says,
You still don't get it, do you? I'm not your rival anymore. I'm not even a person now. I'm what's left when reality dies. A memory without a place to be. A mistake that found its purpose. I won't let you reach the end. Not while you have hope in your eyes.
The world then starts glitching around us. Broken data fills our vision, and Brendan turns into the most notorious glitch Pokemon ever, MissingNo. Here I'm forced to defeat this glitch in the Matrix, but it doesn't show this form for long, because when I throw out my Palkia, it immediately transforms into it. We start trading blows with each other. In the end, it manages to live on 1 HP, as it finishes off my own Palkia with Spatial Rend, just for me to send out Mawile and click the priority Sucker Punch to defeat MissingNo. It then disappears in a flash of light, and at the same moment, Arceus drops down from the sky. In his godly voice, he says,
I watched you rise, Zwig, through storms, through shadow, through doubt even I once held. You've done more than gather power. You've endured this twisted world. You've walked where gods have fallen, and now the path stands open. But know this, child of will. Balance was never mine to hold. It was always yours to fight for. I was only ever a divine fragment, but now you are whole and ready to change the world. So step upon to the championship and claim your throne as King of New Kanto.
So I stepped up the stairs, ready to go for it. But once inside, I got greeted. Here I met the creator of this entire game, who first off thanks me for playing his game, but secondly and most importantly, gave me 5 free Master Balls. This gave me the idea of building the ultimate team so that the Elite Four and Champion would stand no chance. So I went out once again in search of more legendary Pokemon. And so we captured the Lords of Land and Sky, Groudon and Rayquaza. With these 2 titans on my team, nobody would ever be able to stop me. So I went back to Indigo Plateau and followed Arceus' words. Claim your throne as King of the New Kanto. And I started this by challenging the first Elite Four member, Lorelei, and her ice types. My brain clearly farted here because I started out with Venusaur and had to swap out into Groudon, which allowed her Frostlass to get off a blizzard on me for free. I still survived it and melted her down with a lava plume, then proceeded to pierce her wall ring with some precipice blades, but because of all the damage we've taken so far, her Lapras was able to turn me into a pool of mud with a brine. So I swapped in Venusaur to drain all of its HP away, and then went into Mega Mawile to Ironhead her final 2 Pokemon, Ninetales and Weavile, so we would defeat Lorelei and move on to the second room to face Bruno. Here I only needed my 2 Hoenn gods, with Rayquaza slashing up his Howlucha and Groudon using Earthquake and Precipice Blades to defeat Gigalith, Conkeldurr, Machamp, and Lucario. So that meant the old hag Agatha was next. In this fight, I used Rayquaza to take down her Mismagius and Gengar, but she decided to use Destiny Bond, which took my Green Snake with her to the grave. From here on out, the battle became really easy, with Palkia defeating Crobat, Chandelure, and Toxicroak with Spatial Rend, Surf, and Earth Power. With Agatha down, there was one more Elite Four member for me to face, the Dragon Master Lance. But we've got some dragons of our own now, as Dialga easily defeats Salamence with Power Gem. Then, as his next Pokemon Garchomp digs underground, I swap into Rayquaza to negate the attack, tank a Dragon Rush, and blast it out of here with a Dragon Pulse. Next up would be Flygon, who finished me off with an Uproar, and to take revenge for his fallen comrade, Palkia decided to suck all of his Pokemon in a space hole that ended this battle in an instant. So I stepped up to the champion room just to see that my rival Gory had become champion once again in this new world. Not even that would be different. And here I am, ready to crush his dreams once more. So let's do this. First up, Mawile Mega Evolved to take down his Pidgeot with a single Play Rough. Then Palkia would drown out his Charizard with Surf. Dialga would nearly take down his Gyarados with Power Gem, and just when I was about to, he decides to save it and brings in Rhydon. I cannon it with my Flash, which easily ends up KOing it. Then I'd use Mawile Sucker Punch to deal with his Alakazam. Gyarados came back out, so I brought Dialga back in and used Power Gem to clear it off the field, which left him with just Exeggutor. But I made a grave mistake here by bringing in Groudon. This set up the sun and activated his Chlorophyll ability. Now he could basically outspeed anything I have. He would then put me to sleep with Sleep Powder, and 2 Giga Drains later, my Groudon would be defeated. But even with all of this, it still stood no chance against my Rayquaza. So we finished this last Pokemon off with 2 more Air Slashes, stepped into the Hall of Fame room, and got crowned champion of Pokemon the New Kanto. Now, I'm not going to lie here, but this game was kind of terrible. If I had to give it a rating, I'd probably give it like a 1 or a 2 out of 10. The entire story was just all over the place, and every time a supposed cutscene was happening, there was just a black screen that explained what happened. And this can work if it's actually interesting to listen to, but everything just felt so edgy and out of place. I think having a story like this has incredible potential, but the execution was really lacking. Like for example, going from Blaine, who is scaled to your level, to Giovanni, who all of a sudden has a level 50 Dragonite as his ace, just doesn't make any sense either. Just make his team scale to yours as well. Then they had something interesting going with the Mega Portals in my opinion, and in the end it just seemed like they dropped that entirely, which was sad to see. And then the Aerodactyl and Pikachu instances where they just show up without any explanation and then disappear once you defeat them. In the end, it was definitely disappointing, but I don't want to be too harsh because this was the creator's first game, and I really hope that he learns from his mistakes for the next one he decides to bring out, if that ever happens. With that little rant out of the way, I want to thank all of my membership and Patreon supporters for supporting the channel. It really does help me out. You have no idea, so if you'd like to support the channel too and get some extra perks while doing so, you can click the links in the description to join up with the rest of the Swamp Squad. With all of that out of the way, I've been Zwiggo, and I'll see all of you in the next one.